What's up, guys? It's Crash. We got some really cool new information about Gray Zone Warfare. If you haven't heard about that game, it is essentially a big open world survival extraction shooter. One of the things that I think is going to set this apart, not only being on Unreal Engine 5, is the fact that the servers are going to be persistent. So you go in, you move around via helicopter, you also extract back to your base, but everything within that server you're playing on continues to happen. Other PMCs go in there. There's also the soldiers in the environment that you interact with, the AI and stuff. That keeps going and keeps evolving. So just adding to the unpredictability of this game. And one of the things that they wanted to talk about today was the lore and kind of set the stage for this conflict that you take part in as a private military contractor. So they kind of started off asking the community what we wanted to hear about. And I myself and a lot of other people voted for story and lore, but not why you think it is. I totally understand, and I want you guys to understand that this game really isn't a story game. It's not a campaign game. It's super flexible. It's open world. You can kind of play it how you want. It sounds like, from what we've been told, that you can go in and play the story and look for that and do all the missions and things like that. Or if you want to fight, you can just go in, collect resources and fight and play it that way. It really is super flexible in how you want to play the game. The reason I myself voted to hear about the story and lore and some of the quests, which we will get into, is that I think a lot of extraction shooters or games of this type have not figured out the end game. And what I mean by that is games like Tarkov, I haven't been playing the last few wives because I've already done the majority of the tasks several times. The quests, things like the Psycho Frontier, those kind of get old after a while because I feel like extraction shooters are all about that progression, and that is not infinite. Eventually you kind of get your character all the way leveled up, you get everything unlocked, you get all the quests done, and it starts to be a question of, why do I want to go back into this war zone? Why do I want to go back in, and what do I even do? So I feel like the end game is something that extraction type shooters have really not figured out yet, in my opinion, and it's kind of the reason I feel like they die in the end. So one of the reasons I voted for that is because that's what I want to nip in the bud right away with the game and kind of see what they're planning on. And if this could be the first time, in my opinion, that we see a game get the end game figured out, to where once you've kind of leveled up, there's still a reason to keep playing, there's still things to go, and it can keep going on for a really long time. And they have some really exciting stuff planned for this game, so I'm going to share with you what I can, kind of condense it down. My goal for this video is to give you a spoiler-free kind of view of the world and kind of how they're setting the stage for this. Just really generic terms, not really spoil anything for you guys, because they definitely told us that they want you guys to uncover it yourselves as well as I do. I still don't have a super good grasp on what's going on, but we'll try to give kind of a bird's eye view overview of what's going on, and then a little bit about the PMCs. We can take a look at the traders, which is going to be really cool. They shared some of that information with us, as well as a little bit of information about those quests, which I think are really important. So those are the three things that I want to go over with you guys today. I also want to give a shout out and sincere thanks to Rick over at Madfinger Games for including me on this, for getting me this information so you guys can check it out and we can talk about it together, which I really appreciate them letting me get kind of a sneak peek so I can have these videos ready for you guys. So let's try to set this stage for the area. And what's really cool about this entire story and this entire game is that they have consulted with some industry experts. They have consulted with actual PMCs who have lived situations like this and say this is an accurate telling of the future of warfare and how PMCs are going to do content going forward. You know, they've said several times that they're really focused on that. They've talked with congressional advisors, Pentagon advisors, and real actual soldiers that do this stuff. So they're really trying to capture that feel of private military contract warfare within the gray zone, and that kind of where it gets its name from, because there's gray zones in this type of warfare where who is right, who is wrong, you don't always know. So I thought that was really cool. And as you guys have probably seen, it's taking place on the fictional place of Lemang, which is somewhere in Southeast Asia. Again, the map is going to be 430 kilometers squared. And essentially what happens to kind of set the stage for this area, kind of think a North Korea type situation where you have an older dictator that's kind of ran things. They've kept things really tight, you know, kind of like Cuba or some of those other states, those isolationist, sorry, that's a really hard word right now, an isolationist type state or entity that kind of keeps to itself, does everything under a dictator's rule, and then they end up passing away. Again, think like North Korea, and the son takes over as the dictator and pledges to do stuff different, but ends up kind of the power is too much, and that doesn't exactly happen. So you kind of have a dictatorship rule. Think of something like I said, North Korea. And then a cataclysmic event happens that kind of sets everything into motion with the current events that you're going to be dealing with. Is they just call it a big giant event with a flash. Something crazy happens. We don't exactly know what it is next year when we get to play the game. That's what we get to try to find out. But they said it could be, you know, rumors went around the World Wide Web. They said like a volcano erupting. It could be a chemical factory exploding, a nuke going going off, satellites, secret experiments gone wrong, a meteorite impact, or the always popular aliens. So they talk about it could be really anything, and that's something you have to figure out. I think it has to do with radiation. That's why if you look at some of the gameplay screens when you're in your inventory, looking at your person, looking at your soldier, you kind of have a radiation meter. I think there's going to be some, you know, not to take something from soccer, but I think there's going to be some anomalies, some weird things that you're going to have to find and figure out. There's something going on kind of underneath the surface of this island. And again, it's not something that's going to be the central focus of things. You know, realistic combat is going to be the main focus of the game, but there's going to be some weird things to uncover and some things to look out for and try to figure out with this island. There's some mysteries to it, which I think are pretty cool, depending on how long it takes us to kind of figure those things out. So what happens after the event while everyone's trying to figure out what's actually going on? The UN wants to evacuate everyone. So they try to get everyone out and they get everyone off the island, but when I say everyone, it's almost everyone. So then you have the kind of soldier factions, or excuse me, like the kind of insurgent factions that stay behind. The AI is what they're going to be, that kind of stay in their own respective area in their quote unquote homes. And then with almost everyone gone, and you just kind of have some pirates and stuff left over, then you have the PMC factions, the 3 PMC factions, and these are what you guys are going to play for, that want to come in, take the resources, try to take over the island itself when it's been kind of evacuated. They have to deal with the people left over. That's kind of the AI that you're going to have to deal with, as well as each other, as well as whatever kind of anomaly or weird thing is actually going on. So you have the 3 different factions, the Lemang Recovery Initiative, the Mithras Security Systems, and the Crimson Shield International are the 3 different PMC factions that you can play for. Not going to get super detailed into those. I really, again, this is a bird's eye view. I don't want to give you guys too much information. I want you to be able to uncover it when you play the game. And essentially this has been going on for a while. The back and forth between the 3 factions, the leftover kind of AI enemies that are still there. This has been going on for a while, and they have to call in reinforcements. They've lost enough people that they need more folks. You are one of those people. So you're one of the PMCs, one of the new PMCs that's coming in. This conflict has been going on for a little while within this kind of gray zone or demilitarized zone, and you are coming in to kind of be a reinforcement, get up to speed, and then start to work and help out with one of these private military contractors. So then that kind of leads us to the traders. We talked about this is going to be kind of similar to Tarkov, where there's traders, and how you interact with the traders is going to affect your reputation and how quests and stuff like that unfolds. So some of it, we got a little bit of a sneak peek of some of these traders. So one of them is Anton Jackson, or Gunny. He's a retired U.S. Military Corps gunnery sergeant. He's a translucent character who doesn't seem much to like anyone or anything. However, he's extremely good at what he does. Hence, that's why they, you know, recruited him to run the operation. Then you have Laya Hoyang. She's blames a lot of the UN for a lot of the chaos and arrival of the PMCs. So she's kind of seems like a person native to the area that doesn't really like what's going on, but is going to kind of capitalize on it. And then you have James Miller, the Banshee. Or turbulent events unfold in Lemang were akin to a gold rush to widespread chaos, proved to be a lucrative market for his trade. So this is just kind of an opportunist, but these are 3 of the characters that you can deal with, that you can trade with, you can get us from, and kind of, you know, up or lower your rep with the different ones, and that'll kind of determine your kind of quest line. So let's move on into the third thing I want to talk about, which is the quest, which again, one of the reasons I quit playing Tarkov is I'm kind of waiting. I do want to jump back into Tarkov whenever they do add like the mainline quests. I know they've said a lot of the quests in Tarkov right now are kind of the side quests with the different traders and stuff. I want new quests or things to do in Tarkov. There's only so many times I can go get the bronze pocket watch out of the truck on customs, you know what I mean? So I was interested to hear about the quest here. It sounds like there's going to be around 150 quests at the early access launch of Gray Zone Warfare, with more being added over time. And what's really cool about these is they believe in players' intelligence, so I think they're going to be pretty difficult. Probably as the game gets popular, people will make things like the wiki and stuff and help you figure out how to do the different quests. That'll be a big thing of content, is how to figure out how to do some of these quests. But in the game itself, it sounds like they don't want to do any hand holding. They say don't expect any massive waypoint markers or big UI things to tell you which way to go, you know, follow the line in a super linear campaign kind of way. You're going to have to read the briefing, familiarize yourself with the land, figure things out with exploring and figuring out what is going on this island, where things are at, and then execute your plan, whether it's with friends, you know, if you're going to take some buddies in there with you, or if you're going to try to go it alone. That's all up to you how you play it. Like they said, every decision matters. And it sounds like this game is going to be really, really flexible on how you play. If you want to get into the lore, I think you can. I think you can, sounds like you can go try to discover things, figure out piece together what's actually going on. Or if you just want to go into the gray zone, get a bunch of resources, get a bunch of guns, and go in hot, taking out everybody in your path, and looting and gaining as much resources as you can, and focusing on combat and PvE and PvP and stuff like that. Sounds like you can do that too. So I really like the thought of the flexibility. As you guys can see from the footage behind me, it looks very impressive with Unreal Engine 5, some of their own proprietary engine work, as well as the animation, some of the ballistics and stuff that they have going into this, and some of the consultants that they're working with sound really, really impressive. So this is one of the few games that I'm really excited about. I'm trying to temper expectations as we haven't even got to play it yet. We haven't got to really see a gameplay loop or how things look, but we're slowly piecing together what this game is and how it's going to look and how it's going to play. And so far what I've seen, it's pretty darn impressive. I think some of the animations are really cool. Some of the things that they've taken from feedback already within the trailers and adjusted within the game is pretty cool. And it kind of is a good sign that they're going to listen to the players and hopefully make changes on the fly, because it was really fast that they made some changes within how the sights looked, how some of the animations worked and things like that. They changed those already. So I thought that was really cool and a really good sign. And yeah, I just want to thank Madfinger and Rick for including me in on these intel drops. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and it sounds like we're gonna get some more information on combat next month, so stay tuned for the channel if you like these kind of breakdowns and rundowns and discussion topics. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.